Good morning, everybody. Apparently, we're playing a new game today. Today is how many cats can fit on my lap. Oh, Miss Finny just got down. So I did have Miss Finny and Mr. Toes, which is hard to see right now, and Pete, which has been interesting. My legs are like completely asleep. Right, that's what you guys is doing. Is everybody okay? Yeah. You're alright, Toes. Toes is frozen. I know, sometimes you and Pete don't get along so good. You argue. But you're okay. So, I've got them here. And Miss Finny just jumped down there. She was on my lap too. That is Miss Katie in the cat tree. And there's Alex and Mama Maggie and Mama Austin. Say hi, Mama Austin. Austin says F you. I don't want to be on the camera. And that's Gus Gus, which is Austin's son, who was raised by Miss Maggie. And then, pardon my hand, up behind me, I've got the chunky monkey. I don't know if you can see him. There he is. Chunky monkey is sleeping. And, extreme close-up. Hi, Pete. Oh, Pete, I love you, buddy, but you're killing me. Mr. Pete has got to be every bit of 20 pounds. When he jumps onto your lap, he leaves bruises. He's my gentle giant, right? Right, Mr. Pete? Yeah, Pete's not even officially mine. He actually belongs to a very nice lady up the block. And when she had, I think, dogs and a baby that became a toddler, and once that kid was mobile and the dogs were running around, Pete was like, yeah, see ya. So he wandered up to my house, and he's been hanging out with me ever since, but she's okay with it, and we stay in contact with each other, so she knows where he is at all times. So he hangs out at my house with permission. Right, Mr. Toes? And so far, so good. Everything has been going okay. As far as I know, Lily is doing wonderful in her new home. I got one update from the family that was wonderful because she was already playing with their cats and was already sleeping on her back with her, belly out. So that's huge for a cat. A cat's not going to do that unless it feels safe. So seeing pictures of her sleeping like that and seeing pictures of her playing with their cats and hanging out with them, I know that Miss Lily is where she belongs. She's in a perfect place. So she's happy, they're happy, so that's fantastic. And then the 2 nights later, on this past Wednesday night, there was a very nice lady that was coming because she saw a video of Marigold playing with Lily. And she liked Marigold, and she wanted to come meet her and potentially adopt her because she was looking to get a kitten. And she came, she met Marigold. Marigold actually was not so responsive to her. But what surprised the hell out of me was, of all cats, Hyacinth, the one who's afraid of everybody and doesn't want anything to do with anybody. When she heard this lady's voice, she came out from under the chair and went right up to her and sat down and looked at her. And we were all like, huh? And she started playing with Hyacinth, and Hyacinth actually stayed and played. And they were at my house for about 2 hours, just playing with all the cats. And she's a very nice lady. And that's why she says, I hope you don't mind, but I know I said I came here for Marigold, but I kind of want Hyacinth, and I said, absolutely. Because that's how it happens sometimes. You guys that have cats, you know how it is. You get that connection that comes, and sometimes it's not the one you think it's going to be. Just because you like the markings of a certain cat, you might come and see another one and be like, this is the best cat in the world. And it was funny, though, because she doesn't like to be handled. at least by me anyway. She never liked to be handled. And Gus is rolling around being silly. So trying to catch her to get her in the ladies' cat carrier was hilarious. It wound up being like an athletic event, and eventually she went not only underneath the sofa, but she went up inside, because this little couch here that I've got, it's like a love seat. It's smaller than it probably looks on the video. It barely sits two people. I have a small house. But it opens up into a twin fold-out bed. And the couch itself is in horrible shape, but the fold-out bed is still in good condition. But she actually went inside the mattress, where the mattress folds up. She wedged herself up in there. So to get her in this lady's carrier, I had to take the entire couch apart and unfold the whole sofa bed just to get to Hyacinth. And as soon as I opened the sofa bed part, she took off down the hall, and luckily she went into the hall bathroom, which was perfect because that's a small bathroom. So I ran in there after her and I closed the door. So I'm like, okay, it's a showdown now, Only one of us is leaving this room, right? But I was able to get her. But it was funny because once I put her in the cat carrier, and this lady picked her up and took her out the door in the cat carrier, she laid right down and she immediately just chilled. And I was shocked. She had zero problems. So I was laughing. I was like, wow. And then later that night, they sent me a picture of the lady standing there holding Hyacinth. Hyacinth let her pick her up, let her cuddle her, let her pet her. And I'm like, this damn little cat gave me more trouble because she wouldn't even come near me. So it just goes to show you, she is where she belongs. They found who they were meant to be with, which was really nice. So now this lady is happy. And as far as I know, Miss Hyacinth is doing well. And she loves this lady. This lady can pet her and pick her up and do everything. So it just shows you they're meant to be. So that worked out beautiful. So now, this weekend, I'm going to concentrate on getting pictures of Daisy and Marigold and Gus. And I'm going to post pictures of them up in the different vet offices. That way I can get those adopted and go ahead and get them to find good homes. I've got an appointment next Wednesday for Miss Maggie. I've got on order from Amazon. It's supposed to be delivered today, which I hated to do because it's a net. And it's basically made for raccoons, possum, skunk, stray cat, kind of. And I hate to resort to that, but she just doesn't fall for the trap. No matter what you put in there, she will not willingly walk into it, and she's too fast for me to catch by the time I get close to her. So this net has like a telescoping handle, and apparently you can make it almost like 4 feet, I think, away. So that's perfect. So my goal is to try to catch her without using it, but as a last resort, at least now I will have a net for the cats that are untouchable, that I can at least grab and confine somehow, without them taking my face off, which is preferred. So I also got some animal handling gloves because I don't know how she's going to react when she is finally confined. She might just be stunned and quiet, or she might turn into a hellcat. I have no idea. So I've got to be prepared for anything. So my plan is to try to lure her into the trap, and trigger it myself so that she doesn't step on it. If I can get her to just calmly go in, if I put something tasty enough, right, Mr. Pete? If we put something tasty enough in there, maybe I can finally get her to just walk in, and then I'll slowly lower the door. without scaring her. But if not, then my last resort at least will be this net. And I'll use it to kind of scoop her up and then twist it, so that she's kind of contained within the netting. I just got to be careful. I want to make sure that I don't hurt her in the process. But if that's the only way I'm going to be able to get her to the vet, then that's what I'm going to do. So we've got an appointment set up Wednesday for her to be spayed and get her rabies shot and everything. So then once she's spayed, she comes back to my house and she stays indoors for a little while until she heals, probably about a week or so. And then my coworker is going to get the area of her farm ready. And then she's going to take Miss Maggie out to the farm. And then when she gets acclimated there and she gets used to being around, she has like a big enclosure that she keeps cats in that she's rescued before. And it gets them used to seeing there's shelter, of course, there, and there's food and litter boxes and stuff. But it gets them used to seeing the horses, because she's going to get to play with horses and donkeys and chickens. And I was nervous at first because I said, aren't the cats going to attack the chickens? And my coworker laughed and she said, actually, you'd be surprised because chickens are bigger than you think they are. And she said the cats actually usually wind up being terrified of the chickens. You'd think it'd be the other way around, but it's not. The chickens are not pushovers. And I was laughing because I'm like, I've never been around chickens. I grew up in the city. Well, not really the city, but suburbs. I was out on Long Island, is where I grew up. So I was never around any real farm animals kind of thing. Like when we first moved down here, I got the crap scared out of me because I had no idea how loud a cow is when it moves. Because I'd always only heard them from far away, And then when we first moved down here, we were driving, my parents were driving me to, my father anyway, was driving me to school. And the car had broken down. It had overheated, so we pulled over to the side of the road. And it happened to be near a field that was full of cattle. Dairy cows, anyway. And one of them came right up to the fence, I guess curiosity, and I never realized how cute they were. And then when it mooed, oh, poor Alex is having a coughing fit. You got a hairball, buddy? Yeah, okay. You gonna be all right? Poor baby. You okay? Oh. You okay? Yeah, I know. He makes this sound when he's working on a hairball. Okay, I'll be right back. Let me make sure he's okay. Okay. Yeah, he's okay. He gets that way when he's working on a hairball. Hello, Mr. Toes. I have Toes in my lap now, so you'll probably hear him purring. Your purr motor, Extreme close-up. So anyhow, what was that? Ooh, there he goes again. If you're gonna barf, do it on the floor, not on my couch, okay? Are you good now? Okay. But the car had broken down. We were on the side of the road, and the cow came over, and it mooed, and I about jumped out of my skin because I had no idea they were so freaking loud. And my father was hysterical at me because he grew up on a farm. So, but yeah, so I've never been around farm animals at all. And she had me laughing, my coworker, because she said, never worry about a chicken. She goes, a chicken is a lot meaner than you think it's going to be. She's like, everybody thinks of chickens and they think of, fuzzy little cute chicks, or they think of, these delicate little, birds that lay their eggs and stuff like that. She's like, don't you believe it for a second. A chicken is not going to be a pushover for anybody. So I was like, oh, okay. So she said she has dogs that are afraid of her chickens. and like big dogs, like big farm dogs, and they're terrified of the chickens. So I'm not worried about that. But anyhow, so after Maggie heals from her surgery, she's going to go hang out at the farm, and that's going to be her new place because she likes to be an outside cat. These past couple of months of being inside only because of the kittens has been driving her up the walls. So it's going to be good for her, I think, to just be out. So ultimately, my coworker is going to take at least 2, because after I get her taken care of, I'm going to get Austin taken care of. And then I think her and Austin are going to go out to the farm. That way they can be outside as long as they want. They can stay outside as long as they want. And she's got several different barns and enclosures for the horses and the donkeys and everybody. And she said that they can absolutely, they have plenty of places to go to get out of the heat. They have lots of places to go when it's wintertime to get out of any ice and snow that come. She's got people that are there, of course, every day taking care of the horses and the donkeys and everything. And so she's got there'll be plenty of fresh straw all the time for them to bed down in when it gets chilly, which is what I used to put outside in the outdoor houses. I used to have houses out before the neighbor went wacko on me. But I had houses out for the cats that went outside. And that's what I used to fill them with, was straw. I'd get some, they have a big box of straw that you can get, I think from Chewy.com. And it's meant for like animal cages, like rabbits or guinea pigs or something like that. But I used it to fill because it was nice clean straw. The straw around here you can get, but it's half the time it's covered in muds from the field and everything. And I'm like, nah, I'd rather put decent, hay that I could find that was in pretty decent shape. So that's what I had bought and filled it with, and they loved it. They slept in it all the time. They'd rather be in a pile of straw than in my house when it was cold out. So I think that's going to be a good place for them after they're spayed. But first we've got to get them fixed so that they don't continue having babies. And then after that, we just got to figure out what to do with who's left. So there were 17 altogether with the babies. Now 2 of the babies have been adopted, so we're down to 15, which is good, but it needs to be less because I'm getting to the point where I'm getting, it's just too much now. It's not even financially, because I'm doing okay financially. I'm not setting the world on fire, but I'm not destitute. But prices are continuing to go up and things are continuing to become more difficult. So it'll be easier if I have less to take care of. And then also mostly the reason I have to downsize is the physical demands. Because it's getting harder and harder for me to keep up with everything, especially the cleanup after the kittens, because, some of them still go underneath the futon and go to the bathroom on the floor there, so I have to drag furniture around the room to properly clean and do all that stuff, and I'm getting to the point where it's harder with the problems I'm starting to have with my feet and my back. That it's not so easy for me to just, drag a futon out anymore. Just drag a solid wooden dresser, across the room. 10 years ago, that was no problem. I just hauled it across the room myself. But now it's not so simple. So, mostly for the physical demands, I'm going to have to cut back. I've been having a lot of unexpected trouble with my feet and my ankles. My one ankle, I know what the reason is. It's because of the car accident. I was in a car accident way back in 1996 after I graduated high school. I was coming home one night and a girl was driving. She had just gotten her license, I think, like 2 weeks prior. And she was driving with a car full of friends. and they were all talking and chatting it up and not paying attention to the road, and it was pouring down rain. And she came to a traffic light where you're supposed to yield before you make the left-hand turn, and I was coming straight, from the opposite direction. And she never even slowed down. She just plowed right through the front of my car. And she hit me so hard, she spun me completely around to where I was facing, not 360 degrees, but like 180 degree, to where it looked like I was trying to go in a completely different direction. Because at first they thought I caused the accident because of the direction my car was facing. But then they realized that okay, Mr. Pete wants to go back outside. But then they realized that the damage on my car and the damage on her car didn't match the direction I was facing in. And then there were other people that witnessed the accident that said, no, the girl just hit her so hard, she spun her around. So it kind of sucked. She turned out being okay, but I was driving an old 1987 Plymouth Horizon. So back then there were no airbags and everything. So I had cracked my head on the steering wheel, which gave me 2 black eyes, which was not fun because they both swelled shut, so I couldn't even read a book for a couple of weeks, for a week at least anyway. Messed up my vision for a little while, and then the way she hit me, it relocated the engine. She hit the front left hand. Okay, Mr. Pete. He really wants to go outside. She relocated the engine of my car because of the location she hit it in and how hard she hit me. And the whole engine came back through the dashboard. And it pushed everything back. So the steering column came back and went through my leg. And the brake pedal crushed my ankle. And the part of the engine almost came into my lap. So they were able to get me out. But I was able to see the bone in my knee, which was pretty cool. At the time, anyway. I mean, it wasn't fun, but at the same time, I thought it was a piece of plastic that I was seeing in my leg. And I was like, oh no, there's a piece of plastic stuck in my leg. And I was trying to pull at it, and I was like, it's not moving. And my boyfriend at the time was in the car with me when it happened. And he grabbed my hand and he said, don't touch that. And I'm like, but it's a piece of plastic in my leg. And he says, no, honey, that's part of your knee. Don't touch that. So I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, so I had to have my knee put back together and my ankle put back together. So the knee, there was no injury to the bone. The bone was bruised a little bit from the impact, but it was mostly just the soft tissue. Ligaments and stuff like that was all torn up, so I needed a lot of stitches. But my ankle got smashed up pretty bad, so I have a big bolt. Looks like a big screw. When you see it in an x-ray, it's kind of cool. But it's going through my whole ankle into my leg bone, holding everything together. So I'm starting to have trouble with that, which I expected. They told me that, eventually you're going to wind up with arthritis and you're going to have issues with it. Because of the damage that it sustained. So the one foot I kind of expected to have problems with because I knew, back when I had the accident that eventually I was going to have issues with it. But my other foot has surprised me because I'm having more trouble with the other one that doesn't have any prior injury. So I've been dealing with a lot of that. It's mostly my feet. And my ankle, the bottoms of my feet. Sometimes I get a flare-up of that, they call it plantar fasciitis. It's basically that big tendon in the bottom of your foot. And it gets irritated. Sometimes it'll swell, it gets inflamed. And it can cause a lot of pain. So it's like when I first stand up, the first couple of steps I take are very difficult. But then once everything, gets moving, I'm fine. The same with my ankle that had the car accident in it. That's like arthritis. When I first start moving it, it hurts a lot. But then the more I move it, the better it gets, and I'm fine. But my other foot has been throwing me for a loop. At first, I twisted my ankle. And then that healed up, and I was doing pretty good. And now, all of a sudden, it's a different part of the top of my foot. And it's muscles. It's not nothing in the bone. It's the muscles that are hurting. So that's why I'm kind of like, getting old sucks, because it used to be 10, 15 years ago, I would just drag furniture around, do what I gotta do, go here, go there, and take care of everything, and it was no big deal. And here now, it's like I moved 2 pieces of furniture, and I'm like a crippled old lady for 2 months, and it's kind of pissing me off, but it'll get better. It will. It'll get better. But yeah, so I'm going to have to downsize. So at least Miss Maggie has a plan. Miss Austen has a plan. And hopefully I can get the other 3 kittens adopted out. And then that'll at least be a significant decrease in the amount of cleanup and mouths that I'm feeding. And then from there, I got to decide what I do with everybody else. If my neighbor keeps picking on me about the 3 cats that are left that go outside, then I'll have to see if something can be done with Phoebe. And I hate to do anything with Felix, though, because I've had Felix for 6 years, even Phoebe is, 3? 3 years old, I think. So she's been with me a while, but Felix has been with me for 6 years. I hate to just give him away to somebody. So, I don't know. But he doesn't stay inside very easily. He, after a while of being an indoor only, he gets frustrated and he pees on stuff. So it's not an ideal situation to keep him inside only. He does great if I let him out for a little bit in the morning and a little bit at night. But like when the weather is nice, like now, he wants to be outside full time. So I don't know if he would be another contender for the farm, because he does get along well with Maggie and Austen, so maybe he'd be a familiar face for them to hang out with. I don't know. I'm torn about that, because on one hand, he's my buddy, but on the other hand, if he's going to be threatened just because he's outside because of my jackass of a neighbor over there, then I don't want his life endangered. It'll be better to relocate him to someplace else, maybe. So I'll have to think about that. And then, of course, there's Blackie, which Blackie really just showed up last year. He's a sweetheart of a cat, though. I hate to see anything happen to him, but he hasn't been around as long as the others have been. He just showed up out of nowhere, so I had him neutered, and got him back healthy. He was kind of scraggly and was very unkempt and just kind of a typical stray that you'd find, skin and bones and matted fur and all that kind of stuff. So I got a hold of him, got him cleaned up, and got him neutered, and now he's a sweetheart of a cat. So I just have to figure out what to do with him. And then I think that'll be good. So if I can rehome the 3 kittens, relocate Maggie and Austen to the farm, that'll be 5 down right there. And then possibly relocate Phoebe as well if she wants to stay outside all the time. And then find a place for Blackie and decide what to do with Mr. Felix. And then we'll take it from there. But that'll at least significantly reduce the numbers and make it a little easier to handle. But the biggest thing is getting Maggie and Austen taken care of, because that'll stop the madness. No more kittens after that, And then of course, Miss Daisy and Miss Marigold and Mr. Gus Gus. If I do not find homes for them by the end of August, then I will have to have them all spayed and neutered, just to stop anything further from happening anywhere. And then we'll have to go from there. So that's basically where it's at right now. But so that's the update. We did get the two of them adopted out, so that's good. So 2 down, 3 to go. And everybody else is in nappy time. Sleep mode has been activated. So that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have had a good week. And I hope you all are doing all right. And we will see you next time. So have a good week. Bye-bye.